Hello, so this video is about things that I like in interior decor right now. These are just random things that I see and for whatever reason I like. So I've compiled a list of a couple of things, and this video topic is inspired by Paige Wassel. She's done a few of these kinds of videos. So if you haven't seen her videos, definitely go check those out. It's a rainy and cloudy day here in Southern California, and it's our first rainy day in such a long time. We have the lighting set up. I feel like it's very cozy right now, and we have tea instead of water, which I feel like is very fitting for the setting that we're in currently. A lot of the stuff I'll be talking about I think is very attainable and approachable. Hopefully this video will have some new things that you haven't really heard of or thought about before. Okay, so let's start. As usual, I have my laptop here, and I'm gonna be accessing my Milanote board and looking at it and referring to it while we do this video. The first thing is hand-painted folk art. I put folk in parentheses because I'm not sure if this counts as folk art or not. I just have really been liking this kind of style of decor. It just adds some character and whimsy and personal touches to your home. We have a couple of different categories. We have decor, tiling, and furniture / doors. So let's start with decor. I was just browsing Etsy and I saw this box, this hand-painted box of forest creatures. It's very whimsical and magical, and I've just been enjoying that lately, especially with, I don't know, with AI and just the way that technology is rapidly expanding and growing. It's nice to look at approachable hand-painted decor that feels very human. I think that's kind of what's been influencing why I've been liking this lately. But I feel like if you've been following me, you know that I've always sort of liked a folk aesthetic. There's this cute little box with hand-painted animals, and then I have this Dala horse. This is like a woodcut horse from Sweden, but funny enough, I actually got it at a thrift store in Hong Kong. You can find these on Etsy, and I have one that's in my living room. Next, tiles. So I saw these cute little duck tiles on Etsy. You don't need to have a bunch of these tiles, just maybe as a backsplash like this, for example. So these tiles were made by Danny D's Mud Shop. They're a local ceramicist here in Los Angeles, and they handmade the tiles and then painted them as well. I think this is a really cool way to add character to your home. If I had my own home and I was redoing the kitchen, I would definitely do something like this. And then next we have furniture and doors. So I've been seeing a couple of these examples on Pinterest. They're hand-painted doors. And I just think it is so cute. I feel like this kind of aesthetic, it has a time and a place to use it. So for example, I found this cabinet on Facebook Marketplace, and it looks so weird in this home with this gray flooring. It just doesn't, it's a weird mix. This would look good, for example, in natural wood floors that are kind of creaky. I could see that in that kind of place, but with this gray floor, it looks very jarring. And then here's this other idea that I thought was cute. It's a little bird painted on the corner of a door frame. So I feel like you could do this on a door frame, or you could do it on the corner of a light switch plate, or maybe an outlet. I think that would be really cute. If I could paint this well, I would do this. When I was younger, my mom had my room painted to match my sheets in my bedroom. And so my sheets they were jungle themes. So they had tigers and monkeys and palm trees and stuff on it. And so she had a friend paint that in my room. And I just remember loving it so much. And yeah, if you have a kid, I think you should paint some cute stuff on their walls. And okay, down here's an example. This is Ariel Bissett. She is on YouTube. Here's her @ She hand painted her door, and I think it's very cute and so fitting for her personality too. I feel like you have to be a certain kind of person to like this decor and implement it in your home. Have to have a touch of whimsy to you, I think. The next thing is kind of random. It's pine. So I just found these two images while I was scrolling, and these are nightstands that I found on Facebook Marketplace, and I don't remember where I saw this picture. But yeah, I just realized that I like pine wood. I like the knots, or these markings on the wood, and it kind of reminds me of this Airbnb Chris and I stayed in when we were in Dublin. And ever since we did that Ireland and Scotland trip, I feel like my interior taste has changed and just got inspired by the places that we saw there. So really quickly, I'd like to take a break to talk about the sponsor of this video, Milanote. I'm using Milanote right now for this video, and I've used it for so many past videos and also other instances. So I'll go through some of my boards with you. For example, I made a board all about how I'm planning to design our apartment, and so many of you have asked for like a copy of this board to use as a template. So I will include a link to a copy of this board in the description so you can use it. I feel like the hardest part about starting a mood board like this is just having a blank canvas. So I feel like this will really help you get started with that. So I use Milanote for all of my interior decorating ideas, to plan out my spaces and just to like ideate and figure out what works with what. Here's an example of one of my other boards that I used to make a video for my trees as houseplants, where I have all of these different boards inside of one board. Milanote has completely changed the way that I work with my own YouTube videos, but also the way that I work with other people. So I am currently working with a designer and then also an artist to create some stuff. And Milanote makes it so much easier to communicate with them because most of what we're talking about is image-based. I'm going to blur what we have right now because it's still a work in progress and I don't want to spoil anything. Here, we're looking at these different color palette options and different ideas for like the style and the direction we want to go into. We're able to share drafts and concepts easily on the board, and I'm able to leave notes and comments about things, about what I want changed or what I like, and I can use arrows to point to things, or I can, for example, draw on the board. To gather images for this video, I went on Pinterest, and using the Milanote extension in my browser, I was able to save the image and then just drag and drop the photo onto my board. Easy as that. Milanote is available for free with no time limit, and you can sign up using the link in my description to start your next creative project. Okay, next we are going on to something kind of specific, but it's just something that I've been loving lately. I've been loving it for a while, actually, like years probably. So this is the combination of wood and blue. So let's just give you an overall example of what I'm talking about. A lot of this I realized are blue couches. Blue and warm woods work perfectly together. It's a certain kind of blue though. Like not all of these are the exact same blue, but a lot of them are similar. I love this image. This bed looks so cozy. This office, amazing. And this is one of my favorite pictures. It's a blue couch with a red Persian rug, and you can see down here is kind of like the same thing. Blue couch, red rug, red blanket. This is also one of my favorite images I've ever seen. Like this is like my ideal life when I'm older. Maybe a little bit less stuff around, but it just looks so cozy. Some more examples: blue couch, wood, blue couch, wood, blue couch, wood, blue chair, wood. It's funny how much I like this, but I haven't implemented it yet in my space. I just haven't found anything that is like the right blue. And I'm not gonna change out the couch. I love the couch, so we're not reupholstering the couch or anything. And then there's this photo that I love so much, just like the white and the blue. And you can see the ocean outside of the window with this curtain flowing, the light coming in. If I had a beach house, this is what I would try and go for. And then I saw the combination once again when I was watching a Conan Gray music video, this blue blanket with the wood walls. Let's go into big table lamps. I kind of covered this in my previous sit down talking video where I talked about scale, but I thought I would just mention it again because this is just something that I have been into. I see it a lot in 90s and early 2000s rom-coms and movies, and it's just this pattern in like cozy interior settings where they just always have big table lamps. So in Nancy Meyers movies, I was watching Sex and the City for the first time because we're gonna go to New York. I like watching or reading media that is about the place that I'm visiting just so I can romanticize it a bit more. So yeah, I was watching Sex and the City. Pretty problematic show. Like they say some crazy stuff. I guess it was 2006, but yeah, anyway. I love this lamp. I just took a picture while I was watching it. Yeah, the lamp is big. It's beautiful. And look at, what is she talking about? is there a secret Cold War between marrieds and singles? Like, they just talk about random stuff in this show. This is the same photo that I used earlier for the blue and the wood, but yeah, just a large table lamp. And I don't know if anyone else feels this way too, but like growing up and buying lamps when I first started buying home decor, I would always think of table lamps like being this size. So these are some table lamps from IKEA. And so like if I were to go out and buy a table lamp, I would always think of these like small to mid-size lamps, never something large like this one over here, for example. So yeah, when you're buying a lamp, think bigger, like bigger than you would typically think. Also, after watching a couple of Nancy Meyers movies, that's why I bought the large table lamp that we have in our living room. Next, we're talking about restaurant ware, and that's actually what I have right next to me. This is restaurant ware, teacup and plate. So I love diners, and I just love like everything about them, the food, the atmosphere, the vibes. And while Chris and I were at a diner once, I was drinking coffee and I was saying to him that this coffee tastes so much better because of the mug that it's in. And then I realized like, wait, I can just buy one of these mugs and drink my coffee from one of these mugs at home. So that's exactly what I did. And then you can also get plates and bowls in this kind of style. I recently purchased some larger plates because we don't actually really have that much dishware, so I'm starting to get more dishware, and I'm looking for a lot of restaurant ware, or like buffalo china is also what it's called. You can find a lot of the stuff on Etsy and eBay and vintage antique stores sometimes. Here are some examples that I pulled off of Etsy, and they often come with these stripes, these colored stripes. So I'm pretty drawn to these green ones, but the red ones I think are also pretty nice. Something else that I like about them, other than just like their aesthetics, is that they're extremely durable because they're made to, you know, be used in a restaurant where they get a lot of use out of them. So yeah, I like that it's durable because whenever I'm washing dishes, I don't like when I wash like delicate dishes because then I feel like I have to be really careful with them. But these are just super sturdy dishes. And also I like that they have this nostalgic feel for me because like diners feel kind of nostalgic. Extremely practical, and I think that they look great, and I also have an emotional connection towards them. Next, let's talk about glass. I've been loving glass lately because it pairs beautifully with more natural materials like plants and woods. And it also helps to add a bit of sterility and clarity and reflectivity in an otherwise very like natural and rustic space. That's actually why I usually have a glass cup next to me. I mean, I use it for water too, but I think the glass looks nice because right now we have a lot of wood around me with the table and the table over there and the chairs. So it helps break up all of that wood. The kind of glass that I'm liking specifically is this chunky bluish green tinted glass. I also like when they look more handmade, so they have wobbly edges like this and it's not perfect. The glasses that we have are like this, and that's kind of what inspired my love for this sort of glass. Yeah, we have drinking glasses, and then we have this pitcher that I use to water my plants. And I don't know what it is that makes this glass have that color, but I think it looks so much nicer than this kind of glass. I just found these on IKEA. The glass where it's like super clear and doesn't have any of this color cast to it. Like this looks so much more interesting than this kind. Someone who is knowledgeable in glass, please let me know what is it that creates this blue color in glassware. I also like that it's thicker and more durable. So those glasses that we have, I actually dropped one of them on the floor once and it didn't break, which really surprised me. So yeah, I like that you don't have to be so precious with it. To find glassware that looks like this, I looked up recycled glassware and I found some stuff on Etsy, and also just generally searching, there's a couple of different vendors that have this kind of glass. So moving on, we're going over to unconventional layouts. I always find it interesting when people don't follow conventional rules for furniture layout in their home. Usually it's because they have space constraints or they need something out of their home that a traditional furniture layout can't give them. So for example, here we have the L-shaped desk that's up against the couch, and it's not like a normal living room setup, but I think it looks great and it really works for what Chris and I need. That isn't to say that traditional layouts are bad in any way. Like if you can do a traditional layout and your space permits it and it looks good and it functions well for you, you should stick with that. Like don't just make your furniture layout weird just to be unique, you know? But I do always find it like inspiring to see what people make or what people do given whatever their circumstances are. Over here on the board, we have some living room layouts. Like these are the traditional living room layouts, but for our space, we're not really able to follow that. And also, we don't have a coffee table. For a while when we were designing the apartment, I was like set on getting a coffee table because that's just how a living room is supposed to be, but we just don't have enough space for a coffee table and it makes the layout kind of awkward. So we opted for a small side table near the window instead, giving us more space in the center of the living room to play with Winnie and Theo because they like to play on like carpeted ground. So yeah, it just fits our needs a lot better. Don't feel like you need to follow a traditional furniture layout if it doesn't like suit your needs. Let's go through some examples, and honestly I couldn't find that many because I've seen a lot over the years, but to try and find them now is difficult. Like I can't really look up unconventional living room layouts on Pinterest. Like nothing really comes up when I search that, but I have a few examples. So here is this image again, using it again because I just love this picture. But yeah, he has this tiny little coffee table. Like maybe he doesn't need a big coffee table, so he has this small one. And then he has this table on the side over here because, I don't know, maybe he's like doing paperwork or reading or writing over on this table. And typically you wouldn't have like a table like this on the side of your couch. And then there's this home in Japan that I got inspired by for our home layout. But if you watch some channels that feature smaller homes, like Never Too Small, I feel like you see more of these like unique layouts because of their space constraints. Next is one that I've never seen anyone talk about, and that is fans. This is kind of an odd one, but I love fans in interiors, specifically fans that look like fans though. Like this does not apply to something like a Dyson fan. I really don't like those fans. I watched a review and they were saying that they don't even function better than a traditional fan, but also it's like, it's okay to just look like a fan. I don't really like when products try and look like something that they're not. It's like, it's okay. You can be a fan, it's fine. I started realizing that I like fans in interiors because in Vietnam, whenever I visit my grandparents' house, they have fans everywhere because there's no central AC. There's only AC in certain bedrooms. So whenever we're hanging out in the living space or in the kitchen or in the dining room, we always have a ton of fans blowing because it's a hot and humid country. So you need to have fans. Also, fans give a sense of time and place. You know, it's summer, it's hot outside, the windows are open, you're trying to cool off. It sets a scene. And in interiors, there isn't much to indicate that it's summer. For example, fall and winter have seasonal holiday decor for Halloween, Thanksgiving, maybe, and Christmas. And also during these months, it's colder, so you want to be cozy, so you have blankets out, you have candles lit, maybe you're baking stuff. And then in spring, you have seasonal flowers. Maybe you can have tulips or daffodils. But in summer, what is there in interiors that indicates that it's summer? I was like, well, maybe seasonal decor, but then there's like 4th of July, but who decorates their home for 4th of July? And so then I landed on fans. I don't know if this is the correct term, but fans are kind of like analog air conditioning. It's like what a record player is to streaming music is what a fan is to a smart home AC system. Fans are also extremely practical. They use less electricity than your AC unit. So in the warmer months, you can turn your AC up a little bit and just set up a fan. And yeah, keeps you cool. It sets a vibe too. So let's go through some of the images of fans. Yeah, I like these more vintage style fans, but I would be cautious of getting an actual vintage fan just because vintage, like electricity appliances kind of scare me. But doesn't it set a vibe? Like everything, it looks nice as it is, but with the fan, it just, you can feel the heat, you can feel that it's summer, it sets a beautiful scene. And this doesn't have a fan here, but I can kind of like imagine a fan in the corner and him just like sitting and hanging out like that. Here's another fan. Look, see, this is an aesthetic, you guys. I'm telling you. This is a Muji fan. This is an amazing fan. It's a 360 oscillating fan. So I used this when I needed a fan for my plants because some plants need more air circulation. There's this room too with this fan. And this is what I do when I'm in Vietnam. I just sit on the floor and I sit in front of a fan. I look a lot more disgusting and sweatier than she looks here, but this is essentially what I do whenever I'm in Vietnam. And then here is our previous home, because we didn't have AC in the house. So in the summer, it got so hot. Definitely needed a fan. And you don't even need like an expensive fan or anything fancy to make it look cool. We just had this basic fan that we bought from the store. And yeah, this picture is beautiful, but my favorite part of it is this fan here. The next thing I'm talking about are espresso machines. I feel like this is maybe the most trendy item that I'm talking about in this video, but it's an espresso machine, so I feel like it's not really trendy. It's pretty timeless. They look great. They serve a function. I don't really like when kitchen counters are completely clear of things. I like when some stuff is out, some practical, useful things like an espresso machine. And I also don't think that kitchen appliances are ugly, like basic ones, like a toaster or a water kettle or a coffee machine. I do kind of think that microwaves and air fryers are ugly though, so I do put away the air fryer, but obviously we leave our microwave out. I like the stainless steel ones the most, and I also like coffee bars. If we had space, I would want to set up a coffee bar, but instead we have an aquarium where a coffee bar could be. There's this image that I found on Pinterest, and I was like, wow, this one looks so beautiful. And then I got an ad for this espresso machine right next to the image, and then I was like, oh, let's go see how much it is. And I was shocked. I mean, I don't know that much about like the espresso world, so maybe this is an amazing brand and it makes sense why it's so expensive. But yeah, I was kind of amazed. And then I was like, am I just recommending an extremely expensive thing? And yeah, so then I made sure to go find one that's more affordable. And there's this one. It's not as fancy or cool looking, but it's simple and it looks more user-friendly if you're a beginner. And this one is still not cheap, but it's not $4,000. Here's some other examples of some cool espresso machines. This one, I like that blue on the side. It looks really expensive though. And this is like this old vintage one that I also like. Okay, so the next thing I'm talking about is a dining nook. I love dining nooks. I love booths. I love booth seating. Whenever Chris and I go to restaurants, he always lets me take the booth, which is so sweet of him. If we had a booth at home, that would be so nice. If I were to build my dream home, I would build out a dining nook. That would be like one of my top priorities. I was actually thinking of how could we make a dining nook in our current setup, but just with the space that we have, it's not really possible. But let's go through some example images that I found on Pinterest. Just imagine having your morning coffee here or having dinner here. It looks so cozy. And I love the feeling of being encased, like having walls kind of surrounding me. And I feel like this is some primal human evolution thing for safety, so that way your back isn't exposed. Because whenever I'm at a restaurant or somewhere and my back is facing the entrance, I always feel kind of uneasy. Like I prefer to sit in a way where I have like the entrance visible. Some of these are like huge inspirations to me that I'll definitely try and apply to the next place that we live. And this image is from a friend, Lana Walker. I'll put her Instagram here. At Lana Walker, 2 R's. I remember that. Yeah, she DIY'd this dining nook. She built out the benches and then got the cushions and upholstered them. It looks so amazing. Okay, so that's all we have for this video. I think the next video that you'll see from me is going to be my New York City vlog. And I'm so excited to go. Chris and I, we're gonna go see Wicked. And we both like love musicals, but we've never attended a musical together. I just think it's so impressive how people can sing and dance and do it all live and also act at the same time. Like, that's crazy. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Milanote for sponsoring this video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.